Welcome to the Dairy Experience podcast. This is episode 7. Today we're discussing financing robots with DLL. Today I'm joined by Mat Lyne, who's a dairy farmer from the southwest in Victoria, and DLL representative Alex Hucker Stewart. I'll be your host, Jason Koenig, for this episode. Alex, would you like to start with a disclaimer, please?
Yep. For everyone who's listening, the information and discussions included in this episode are for general information only. The audience should seek independent legal, financial and tax advice that takes into account their individual circumstances before making any financial decision. Lely Finance is powered by Delaga Landon, Pty Limited, and all finance applications are subject to credit approval, fees, terms and conditions apply.
Alex, can you highlight some of the investing in robots? What can be financially challenging to farmers?
Here, I think the upfront ticket price for robots can be somewhat challenging to a farmer to kind of understand how that can be, how they can overcome that.
Yeah.
And that's where Lely Finance, powered by Delaga Landon, can help.
And what would some of the challenges be to farmers trying to finance?
Honestly, I think when you're fundamentally changing an operation, it's going to be a large ticket price.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's where finance comes in. Let's look at how we can structure it around the installation process through the life of the term, so that large price becomes actually much smaller, much more manageable.
Yeah. And what were some of the challenges that you faced, Matt, in your process towards installing robots and obtaining finance for that?
No question, the upfront price is
scary.
Is scary and confronting, and the biggest stumbling block. And for that reason, it wasn't even something that was within my consideration. I was looking at second-hand conventional plants, new plants, just because the numbers just were so large for robotic dairies, and then until you start kind of going down a rabbit hole on the long-term costs of any path you walk, whether it's a second-hand plant, yes, your upfront is lower, your maintenance is higher, your turnover expense, whether it's 3 or 5 years down the track, and the same even with the new conventional plant. Yes, it's a lower figure. What are you getting for those dollars invested? And then you touch on the installation process and all of that, and they're all factors that you look into, and kind of what are you getting in the now, what are you getting long term, and then once you start looking into all of those things, kind of the financial options that do get presented to you kind of suddenly make what seems like a mountain just seem, well, that's the path that I want to walk, rather than, just something that's so confronting you don't even want to approach it. And so for me, it wasn't, robots were certainly an interest. It's certainly where I thought the future would be. I didn't think it was for me for now because of just getting started in the industry. That's not what you would think is possible for your first step into dairying, but once you start looking at the products there and compare them to where you want to be in 5 and 10 years time, suddenly
How did you find out about going to DLL for finance? Where did you look for that kind of information?
Yeah, not that they were completely foreign. They certainly
had you used DLL in the past?
Yeah, so just machinery and equipment. Not completely foreign to them. Having spoken to other people with robot dairies in, and what how they had funded it.
Yep.
And that's really direct questions to people that I'm pretty close to, because a lot of farmers can be a little guarded on the financial side of things, and I'm pretty blunt and brazen and really put those questions to people, and luckily they are willing to kind of discuss what they do, most of them anyway. And as soon as I kind of went down that path of actually discussing things with DLL, suddenly the conventional thoughts just went straight off the table. The conventional dairy, that is, for me anyway. Once you started looking into the options available, whether it's leasing or purchasing, and the pros and cons with both,
So what do you think? Some of do you think the price is the barrier for new technology, for people to uptake the new technology?
I think the price is the stumbling block to look into the technology. I think the technology does have some mental barriers that need to be crossed, just to accept and feel comfortable with them. But you never get over them if you don't actually look into it, and a lot of people don't look into it because of the price, and so like it's just a bridge that never gets crossed. But once you start looking, well, hold on, there is financial solutions to fund it. Then you look into it and you entertain the idea, and when you start entertaining the idea, whether it's YouTube or whatever, suddenly you go down a rabbit hole, and your imagination gets a hold of you, and suddenly what was the stumbling block as the starting price, you're not even thinking about the price. You're just thinking, oh, I want my cows to be happy like those ones in YouTube, or that farm that I went and visited. I want that flexibility, and you go from a pipe dream to actually reality. Wow, you go from fixated on a price and dismissing it to, like you said, that's this is actually a viable option, and it's that's a two-part one on that answer, really. Like, the financial barrier is a huge one, and stumbling across what options are available, then suddenly you're willing to tackle the mental one, and then the physical challenge of getting it all up and running, which is probably the least of the worries, really, because once you get the ball rolling, the momentum's there, and you continue on. So,
What do the finance companies actually know about the new technology? Do they know a lot about the new technology, or are they still learning about the new technology?
Here, I think DLL and Lely Finance are in a very unique position. As DLL partners with Lely globally, we have experience in very mature markets for robotic farming in Europe and the US, and we've been able to bring a lot of the lessons learned locally. I don't think it's out of place to say it is an emerging technology locally, and so a lot of financiers would be, in that learning stage. And it is one of those things where even we are learning as we finance more and more installations as to the best way to support our farmers.
So looking at share farmers or people leasing a farm, how would that influence some of the financial products that you could offer to them?
Here, it won't influence it much. There is always a preference to understand what the share farming agreement is and how long the lease is. It may influence the loan term. We would generally look to match the loan term to either the useful asset of the life or the life of the lease, whichever's lower. And there's different mechanisms that we can use, structuring options we can use to make it beneficial to the farmer, but those are probably the two key things.
And with some of the new technology that's available through collars and automatic car feeders and feed pushers and I know from 10 years ago, collars were not the norm, and now
Certainly growing now. Yeah.
everyone's offering collars.
Yeah.
Do you offer finance for those smaller ticketed items as well as the larger ticketed items?
Absolutely. For us, so long as it's serialized, it's equipment and we can finance it.
Yeah.
Again, we'd look at the useful life to see, how long that is, and we'd look to support with a loan of the same term.
Yeah, okay. Just touching on your job, Alex, at DLL, can you give us a rundown on what your position is, what you're responsible for, and how you can assist farmers in providing financial solutions?
Absolutely. I am an account manager at DLL, and luckily been asked to support Laley as a vendor. And really, I report through to Laley globally around the finance packages we're able to offer locally. And that's been really good. As I alluded to earlier, I've been talking to people in the US, in the Netherlands, in the UK, and Greater Europe, and just learning what has worked over there and how I can maybe apply it here. There are definite differences, and we learn, we iterate, and we kind of make sure it works for the local farmers. So locally, I work with the Laley dealers, and when they have a potential client who's interested in finance, I'll have a chat with them. It'll start with maybe a half-hour chat so that I can understand your business, because what I'm learning is, and has become very evident, is each farmer farms their own way. It's really, each farmer's an entrepreneur. It's the way they farm, the way they apply the data that they get from things like Laley robots is all very unique, and all their cash flows are unique. There's some similarities which I can learn from and apply and guide farmers on. But really, once we start a discussion, it's about tailoring the financial solution to that farm and that farmer, figuring out what's best for them.
Can we just have a brief discussion on some of the financing options, leasing, chattel, structured, and servicing cost, maintenance cost?
Absolutely. So really the key with leasing is technically DLL will own the asset.
Yep.
With chattel, the farmer owns the asset.
Yep.
And we can structure balloons or whatever at the end. The servicing component, this is a really interesting bit, I find. We can structure it so that we can take a servicing component throughout the life of the loan. And that should help kind of average that payment out over the term, because maintenance does become a very high cost, and it's provides us reassurance that the robots are getting looked after, and really the farmer has one payment each month, or as we structure it, and that should allow them to know that their equipment's going to get maintained.
And that's one payment for leasing and maintenance?
That's correct. We take care of the payment to Laley at the back end.
Yep.
And it's just one payment each month.
So it's virtually like leasing a tractor or leasing a car?
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's very, very simple, and it is just like financing a tractor. It's equipment on farm. It's helping produce your milk.
Yep.
So we can finance the whole range of equipment in the shed.
And Matt, are you able to discuss what option you chose?
No, pretty upfront with all of that. Leasing the robots, had the option to purchase and to lease. Just getting started in dairying for myself, and this is where as Alex was saying, like each farmer has their own situation, whether you're second, third, fourth generation or first generation, kind of where you are at this point in time and where you want to go. And so for me, pooling my resources to build a business was priority, as opposed to necessarily owning the plant. I wasn't emotionally attached to owning it, and when you get to the financial decisions, it's like, well, there's a pro and a con to purchasing the robots. That the pro was you would own them, the con is the deposit and that. And when you're getting started in dairying, cash flow at the front end is
critical,
massive. Can suddenly use that, what would be a 20% deposit in a whole range of areas, just to make that start as smooth as possible. And that was the path that I went. I know my accountant loves the leasing option. It just ticks all the boxes for him. And the way I view the robots, it's an opportunity cost to milk cows in a certain way and farm in a certain way, and that's how I view that. It's just, that's an expense, and I'm
so you've got a fixed cost
fixed
every month.
cost. That is what it is. And that's how I go about the business. That's a tool, and that tool costs me X amount a month. And that's fixed, and that's job done. That was my decision making process. It enabled me to spend a little more on the startup and a few things that you do need to literally just that barrier to entry into dairying.
There's always going to be things that crop up.
It's never ending. There's never enough. There's it just never ends, as every farmer knows, and you've never got everything you need, but you kind of getting the ball rolling. Anything to help cash reserves to get started, because and so that decision of mine when it goes for the upgrade, that may well be different. I may look at it and go, no, I've got a stable business. I would like to go into the ownership of the dairy. Or I might look at it and go, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I like this model. And why change? Why would you? And at this point, that's going into ownership of robots isn't where I'm thinking. I'm quite comfortable, quite happy. It's only early days, but so things may change down the track, and like we were just saying, that's having different products for different people and different wants and different needs is
vital to the dairy industry.
And
from Alex, your point of view, it's interesting because how do you look at someone like Matt who's entering into the industry as opposed to someone who's third, fourth, fifth generation, got the farms paid off? What do you take into account when you offer finance to someone like Matt who's brand new to the dairy industry?
So for new entrants, it's always going to be a little bit harder. And that's because you don't have that history, and that's what we look to build out, is what is your history.
And the reason I ask this too is because there's a lot of people looking at, I've got a disused dairy on my farm, I don't want to spend money on a conventional farm, I've got beef cattle, but the dairy price might come up, I want to retrofit 2 robots into a herringbone shed and milk 140 cows. But I don't have production history for the last 2 or 3 years, and I don't have financial history, so I can't show you how much I'm going to make.
Well, in that instance, we'd look at, well, what are you doing with the beef cattle? Are you going to continue that? Is that income stream continuing? How will that change? You may not have had history for 2 or 3 years with the dairy, but we can build out a business case for it. And we would look to get maybe some supporting documentation around, cash flow expectations. But really, if you've got an existing farm, existing financials, we'd look at that, consider what your kind of plan is,
Yep.
and we'd work with you to kind of tailor it to that.
No, and it was a pretty comprehensive business plan that we went through, but there is a body of work of some description, whether it's dairy related or not, what you were doing prior, like very new in business to the dairy business for myself, but I was doing beef, rearing calves, and had some equipment and whatnot, and
you'd had experience in the dairy industry,
and managing dairies for others, and so it was just it certainly didn't seem like a possibility in my head prior to any discussions, but once you start going through it and you look at the growth of what I was doing prior and then the projection moving forward, it actually seems a little more of a constant growth as opposed to this huge leap.
Yep.
Now the funding of it does, if you were putting that money up front, that is suddenly a huge leap, but when you've got a well-structured finance on it, it's just about the growth of the business being a constant over a period of time. And for me, the 5 years of growing from rearing 10 calves 1 year to suddenly 50, to then you've got 100 head, and then 200 head, and then you've got 250 head and some equipment. The leap into dairying doesn't suddenly seem quite so astronomical. It's
more like a natural progression.
It seems like a natural progression, whereas if you kind of say to somebody, I've just started milking cows and I've put robots in, mentally you've made a huge leap.
Yep.
And probably the beauty of going through this process with DLL, like, for whatever reason they didn't see it as just a huge leap. It was like, let's look at your body of work and let's look forward and what we're going to do, and how it all looks together. And when you've got a couple of years behind you plus a decent projection in front of you, and it was pretty comprehensive, and so it should be. It's a lot of money. It doesn't seem like quite the leap.
So what terms were you looking at, or what terms were you offered?
So the offer on purchase and leasing were both 7 years, which the projection from Laley is there's a lot more life in the robots than that anyway. But 7 years, and that seems to be a pretty nice price point anyway, from just your month-to-month economics of it all. I think if you were to shorten it up, you really need to be further along in your business life cycle than I am, and you are then in the position to be paying it out up front, whereas for me, as an opportunity cost monthly, it's got to be priced to what you're producing, and what has a margin.
It's got to be priced to your business.
And 7 years seems to be a pretty good price point, I would have thought, for me anyway, and where I'm at. And with that, you're not breaking the bank to make it happen, and you still should maintain life in the robots beyond that.
And do you see that as the norm, 7 years? Or
7 years is about the sweet spot for robots, because there is, as you mentioned, Matt, there's a longer life there. Those robots are good for, I think it's up to 20 years generally. They're
still going after 20 years.
And so financing over 20 years is a little bit long for us. We'd rather look at 7 years and then structure it accordingly. There might be a balloon there if it's a chattel mortgage, or a residual if it's the lease. And then we can look at refinancing that. And that allows the farmer to have an option to decide which way they want to go. No worries. Can you structure the payments to the client's cash flow? Is that a possibility? Absolutely.
Because dairy sort of up and down, and if you're seasonal calving.
A lot of variables from farm to farm.
Yeah.
Yes, and every farm's different, but every farm's right.
Absolutely. It's that's exactly what we'd look to do. Each and every time we're talking with a customer, a farmer, we're going to look to understand their cash flows and how their cash flows are structured to make sure our loan is structured in line with their cash flows.
Yep.
So repayments, if you've got a steady milk check every month of the year, let's structure it that way.
So if you're calving all year round, we can just structure the payments, 12 monthly payments.
Exactly. But if you're calving for 2 months of the year, let's look at, say, 10 payments in 12 months.
Yeah, okay.
And making sure that those cash flows are aligned is the key point, because it all comes down to, cash coming in and cash going out.
Yeah.
So we don't want to leave farmers short-handed at all. It's about making sure it's suited to them, and like you said, each farmer is different and each farmer's right, so they know their business. So honestly, as we've spoken a lot about, I am going to ask some fairly silly questions, and that's solely so I know I can understand each farmer's operation and understand how I can provide value to them.
Yeah, different areas around the country calve cows at different times because you have peak growing grass times and different things, and it's a matter of being flexible to an area or to a region to suit their business. When you get to the end of the lease term, 7 years, can you explain a little bit about upgrading the robot, or what actually happens after that 7 years? Do you refinance it and lease it for another 7 years, or the farmer has an opportunity to upgrade? And
that's exactly it. It's an opportunity. End of term is always an opportunity for the farmer to decide what's best for them.
Yep.
And then we can decide how Lyne Finance, DLL, can assist them to proceed. So at end of term, if there's a residual or balloon, depending on the product, the farmer may have to pay that. That may be an opportunity to on-sell the robots and upgrade.
Yep.
It may be a chance to refinance it and look to lower your repayments over another 7 years whilst the robots are good.
Yep.
It's purely kind of build your own adventure. It's completely up to what the farmer wants to do.
And can you explain a little bit about the GST, tax and depreciation component of leasing as opposed to, say, a chattel?
Yes. Now, I'll preface that with get your own advice from your accountant. Please do not take tax advice from me. The basic precept is, and we've seen recently, with ownership, you get to claim the GST upfront.
Yep.
Whereas with leasing, you claim the GST on the repayments over the term. And what suits you is it's completely personalised to your own tax structures. And as Matt said, he spoke to his accountant. His accountant loves the operating lease. It's and it's different accountants have different preferences, and it's all based on your tax structure. So straight out, talk to your tax accountant. But those are the key kind of concepts.
All right. I'd like to take a minute to address some of the questions with costs associated to robots. Return on investment. Do you look at return on investment when you structure a payment plan or leasing, or do you take that into account?
Here, the return on investment, again, that's going to be unique to each farmer and what their preference or what they're looking for.
Yeah.
We'll take it into consideration, but really when it comes to the loan, that doesn't really matter because we're not taking a part of that return on investment.
Yeah.
It really does look like any other piece of equipment. It's how you're using it, whether it's if if it's a baler and it's the farmer owns it and he does his 2,000 bales a year, or if a contractor buys it and he tries to put 10,000 bales through it in a year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of differences there, and probably you guys are learning as much as we are on the robotic front, kind of the efficiencies, productivity. They've been here and there and around the world for plenty of time, but kind of applying the robotic dairy in Australia, that's a learning process, and I think the true gains and the true benefits are still yet to be learnt. I think a lot of people are already seeing the benefits from the robotic dairy now, and you come into it with an idea on labour, cows, productivity and all of that, but the more you're in it, the greater the pool of information on where the gains are, and I think that will end up being then shared with you guys, and then you've got a pool of data to work off of, and
exactly, it's
can price accordingly.
Yeah, and it all comes down to the circumstances. How does it affect your main expenses? How does it affect your revenue? How
does it affect your ability to buy and finance other products for the farm? For leasing, so if you're leasing robots or if you're buying robots, how does that affect buying other pieces of equipment?
Here, from a lending point of view, it doesn't really change it.
Yep.
If you're buying under like a chattel mortgage, I assume you're funding under a chattel mortgage. Here, they're all repayments that need to be made, so that will be taken into account. Again, it comes down to the cash flows. We want to see that you're able to make your repayments, and that's why we try and tie it to your particular circumstances and your cash flows.
Yeah. And Matt, talking to you, I'd like to discuss some of the examples on how you went about choosing DLL for your finance.
Yeah, it wasn't a clear path. It was a lot of stumbling and fumbling, and
did you seek out other people for
in my
other
position? There's actually kind of where I was probably a limit. I think that is changing. I think there is probably greater competition coming into the finance now. Like
absolutely.
You'd be feeling it. That's just into agriculture. There's a lot of money coming into agriculture and in different avenues. As far as for me, not completely new to DLL, having purchased equipment prior, having spoken to other dairy farmers about how they funded their robotic dairies, and farmers quite close to me, which is lucky because I can be pretty frank and ask some pretty direct questions that some people might find invasive, and maybe that's a bit of a con in the dairy or in the farming community, that we don't all share how you made it happen and how you made it work, because prior to the path that I walked, that I wouldn't have even thought it was possible. If I had heard somebody had just started in the dairy industry and put robots in, I would have had 1,000,001 reasons to explain how they did it and then why I wouldn't be able to do it. But having been pretty blunt and asked some questions and directed towards DLL, and then have that conversation on what options are there. That's how I came across it. It wasn't I'm going into robots and I know how to fund it already. It was it was a lot of stumbling and fumbling, and that like I said, with the farming community, I think the more we can talk about what options are out there, doors open for people that are like me starting in the industry, and for people that are fifth generation. We've all got wants, we've all got needs, we've all got paths we're walking, and knowing what tools are out there, and whether that's a tool to milk the cow or whether that's a tool to fund the milking of the cow is... Did
you talk to any other finance companies about
Not to
robots?
not in any depth. No, I didn't. There's, like I said, just starting. There is a limit of options out there, and when you kind of jump online and look at other companies and you kind of look at their body of work and you go, well, is this legitimate, or is this the mafia, or who am I dealing with? Whereas DLL kind of in Australia, in equipment, internationally, it's a pretty solid brand, and it's been there and it's been here. It's kind of pretty solid, and so that was about as far as I walked. I kind of looked at a couple of companies online and kind of.
So you had confidence in DLL.
Yeah, I had confidence in DLL.
What they were offering.
Yeah, and what they were offering, and it suited my wants, my needs, and what I could and couldn't do anyway. But yeah, when you do, like I say, jump online and look at other options, you do question without knowing who they are or what their body of work is.
Yep.
I don't know if I really want to go down that path and find out the hard way, and it's not to say that there isn't legitimate options out there. I just had a quick look and didn't have the confidence that I already did have with DLL, and so that was a pretty straightforward path, that one for me. Yeah.
And for
I
you,
think that's a pretty good wrap there.
and for you, Alex, people that don't know DLL, can you just give us a quick rundown on DLL's history, when they started, how long they've been going for, just really quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So DLL is wholly owned by Rabobank.
Yep.
We've been established for over 50 years. In the Australian market as DLL, we've been established for over 20 years. And really the base of DLL and Rabobank is agriculture. And so we've learnt a lot of lessons over the 125 years plus that Rabobank's been around. A lot of lessons about agriculture, and we try and apply them to every single circumstance. And here, for better or worse, I will kind of say, I think it's following on from what Matt was saying about financing. I do think it's important that farmers have a look at the options available to them. Obviously, I want to have a chat with as many farmers as possible and look to do my best for all of them. Sometimes we won't be the best, but it's about making it a competitive process and make us compete for your business.
Yeah.
Make it the best thing possible for yourself, because it is a big undertaking. And really, I say that with the knowledge that I really think I can provide a good solution for just about any farmer out there. And that's...
Well, you can say it with confidence because you know how competitive you guys are too, eh?
Exactly.
You're not shying away from the competition.
No, not at all. Stack us up
bring it
against
on
them.
and we'll see where it lands, kind of thing.
Exactly. And I think it's honestly that knowledge globally, supporting Laley globally, we've learnt a lot of lessons, and really it's knowing the brand, knowing the equipment well. We can really take comfort in farmers proceeding with Laley, and we have a good relationship. So it's leaning on that.
I know I've seen in the marketplace myself, going head to head with the big four when it comes to terms of financing robots, even financing machinery. That I hear questions all the time about what's DLL doing from NAB and CAB, and so that's good to hear that you're taking the competition to the leaders in the financial industry.
Well, like I said, we've learned a lot of lessons, and we'll always try and be as competitive as possible. And honestly, at the end of the day, I truly think it's more about the structure of the loans and understanding the farmer's personal circumstance to make sure it's structured. It's almost a bespoke kind of tailored solution.
Not just competitive on the finance itself, it's actually being comfortable with the products and the structure of the loan, whereas you say with the big four, like they're not comfortable with everything, and that's not having to dig at any given bank. But given your circumstances, they play a far safer game out of not being as comfortable or as knowledgeable necessarily in all of these products. And that was just starting in the industry. You feel that. Quite confronted with that, and finding ways into the industry through the likes of DLL is certainly pretty big for the next generation of farmers coming in.
And if you don't have that flexibility of someone like DLL to finance or lease machinery, e.g. robots, then what other path do you have to gain entry?
There isn't. There's a real limit on that, and that's for that's a reality, and that's why there's normally more going out of the industry than coming in. Yeah, there's certainly multiple generation farms in that are solid and aren't going anywhere, but reality is the numbers are dropping, aren't growing, and it's because you obviously got to have the willingness and the desire to do the hard work, but you also need the products available to make it happen, because it doesn't happen alone. I can promise you, it's a lot of money. You see it, Alex. They're big numbers. They're big investments over time, and that's what they are. They're investments over time, but there's an opportunity cost to get in. The money does have to come from somewhere up front to pay it, and then how you level that out over time. That's where a farmer in my position, just getting started, and DLL come together. So that's
the really interesting thing I've found, is speaking to farmers and just seeing the strategic view they take. That's a fancy, word and everything, but really just about every farmer I speak to, it's not about here and now. It's what do I do now for then, for 5 years from now, for 10 years from now. Whether it's, hey, I've got 10 years of farming left in my life before I retire. It's, here, the kids will take the farm in 15 years. What do I do now to make sure they want to take it on? It's yourself starting out and going, well, where do I want to be in 10 years? It's never this short term. It's not a short term industry. It's not a short term business. These are long standing businesses and industries. Like, really, the primary industry is just, it's primary. That's
and I think
where it all starts.
Matt touched on that as well, about taking a long-term view of where he wants to be in 5 and 10 years' time, and making decisions on that rather than putting in conventional and then moving to robots later on. If you take a longer-term view on the financing and the upfront cost.
Saving on pennies now to kind of lose big dollars later on. Like, it's a kind of, if you're going to commit mentally to walking a certain path, you might as well commit physically and financially as well to actually take you there sooner rather than later. It's an interesting thing when you do learn from other farmers, having worked on farms, how they view their decision making, whether it's financial or not. And it does, when you do see the seasons and you do see the markets, it does force that on you anyway, whether that's what you wanted or not, because I think anybody in primary production that thought they were in it for the quick buck make an investment and see it back, and then some are normally pretty disappointed. And
they soon learn.
That it's Mother Nature, really, isn't it? And and she'll let you know how it's going to be, and you need to tailor your business and your investments to suit, really.
How can farmers find some practical advice on financing options?
I would always suggest to chat with your accountant. Most accountants have a good understanding of what finance options are available. There's some great websites out there from the government. My Money by ASIC is great. and APRA, I believe, has a great website as well. It's if you're wanting something tailored to yourself, and you're speaking to a dealer, a lot of dealers have relationships, just as we have a relationship with Laley. So if you're talking to your Laley dealer or partner, just ask them and they can pass you on, and happy to have a chat with any farmer. It's always an interesting yarn. The more I hear, the more I talk to people, the more I learn, and it's been fantastic.
Well, what do you reckon the top 5 items farmers should be aware of when investing with the finance options?
Here, the top 5 things is, first off, how is it going to affect your cash flow?
Yeah, okay.
Understand the impact to your cash flow, because as with all borrowings, you need to repay it at some point.
Yep.
You need to repay it. So you need to understand kind of how it's going to affect your available cash, because you never know when you're going to need feed or water or, pay for repairs on any equipment, or need a new tractor or whatever. So understand that, and that all comes out of your financials. So again, if you're making an investment, talk to your trusted advisors. It's really, I always go by the rule of 3. If I'm making a decision, I normally speak to 3 people, 3 trusted advisors. And honestly, that went from raising my kids to going into a mortgage myself, even my career. I always talk to 3 trusted advisors.
Picking a football team, 3 trusted advisors, or just...
Yeah, that happened young, and my kindergarten teacher made sure that was well and truly ingrained, unfortunately. Or I should say, for better or worse. And but here, they're probably the 2 key things.
Yeah.
The others is really understand your own financial position. Again, that kind of touches on your cash flow, but really understand where you are as a business, because that's what H Farm is. It's a business.
Yeah,
and I would say succession planning is a big deal. It's again to that investment horizon. When do you want it to pay off? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 15 years? Is it, your kids will come back to run the farm in 15 years, 20 years, 10 years, whichever. Where do you want to be when that happens? And as we've spoken about, a lot of farmers are looking at that as a reason for getting into robots.
A lot of farmers are looking at a succession plan at the moment. Should they be talking to DLL about their succession plan and what their plans are going to be to move into robotics at the start of the succession plan, or they should be looking at that further down the line?
Here, for your succession plans, definitely talk to, again, those trusted advisors.
Yeah.
When I say that, I mean people like your accountant, your lawyer. They're the ones who are going to help you with your succession plan. We here at DLL, we'd love to understand it, but we're not the people to advise you on it.
Yeah.
We'd love to understand, what your motivations are, because that way we can structure the loan accordingly. And we'll do our utmost to make sure it works for you and works for that succession plan.
How would you pitch DLL's finance option to farmers?
The pitch is very simply, tell me about your business. How can I help you? Really, let's have a chat. Let's see what I can do for you. Sometimes it will work. Sometimes we will be the best option. Sometimes we won't, and that's okay. At least I've given you some information.
Yeah.
Because information is knowledge, and you can go from there. It's really about making that financial solution tailored to your cash flows and making sure it works for you.
And are people able to contact you to find out a no obligation quote on a finance option?
Absolutely. There's no application fees, no cost for my time.
No hidden costs.
No hidden costs. I will be upfront and transparent.
Yeah.
Even if it's to my detriment, I will be.
And they can be
completely
quite
upfront.
long discussions. Like I think it was 3 to 4 months from start to finish.
Yep.
With myself, from an original concept to like going through business planning, what
So
works.
it's not something that's going to happen overnight.
No, and I have no doubt there would be businesses that it will be a week to 10 days to just go, this is what we want, this is what options we have, and all of that. But as far as for me, DLL certainly put in plenty of time, and there was no cash up front, I can promise you.
Yeah.
there was absolutely nothing. But they were putting an investment in their time into the concept, and whether you guys felt you learnt something or not, I'm sure you do. You take that for the next one, because I know there can't be too many in my situation having to go on through this path. So that was, from my position, we invested a fair bit of time in each other.
Yep.
And then got to that, and it wasn't for any reason other than just learning from each other, kind of what each other's needs and wants are to make it work moving forward. And no, that was another one of those kind of things that I hadn't even thought about until now, until you say, kind of, is there anything up front? And there really isn't. And it's not necessarily just that one visit or that one phone call. It was a lot of back and forth, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, visits out to the farm, and there was a bit to it. So
because a lot of people are going to think that if I go to DLL for financial advice, there's going to be a bill.
Yeah,
There's
or some form of commitment.
There's going to be a fee for Alex's time, or
No, not at all. It's all commitment free, fee free.
Yeah.
It's not financial advice. Just going back to the waiver.
Sorry.
It's we don't provide financial advice.
Financial options.
We provide finance options. That's correct. And but it is a learning experience, and something that's been great dealing with Matt is just how open he's been about everything. It's and really, you've alluded to it the entire conversation. We're learning as we're going.
Yeah.
And I can take as many lessons from overseas as possible, but they do farm differently. And it's about learning how it fits Australian farmers, Australian and New Zealand farmers. It's really about, learning about each other and getting comfortable with each other. Yeah. It's because we're not in it for a short term.
No, and there's no just quick list of questions to get all the answers either. It happens in a conversation over a period of time, because you'll ask something and I'll come back to you with an answer and then a question, and you then answer that question, and then it's like any other relationship, really, isn't it? It builds and it grows, and kind of once you start going, well, this is where he is and this is what he needs and all that, and then suddenly you throw this out, and then things evolve, the relationship evolves.
So would you say, Matt, that Alex is more like a business partner, DLL is more like a business partner?
Well, I think everybody, we don't ever think of it like that. We don't label, but it's just everybody that in business is a business partner if you choose to allow them to be one.
Yep.
And that's a mindset thing. You can just do your own thing and do your own business, or I can go talk to DLL and talk to Laley and Southwest Dairies, and before you know it, I'm milking cows in a robot. It's like that's the partnership. That's the business partnership.
That's the simplicity of the
it
environment,
really is.
isn't it?
It really is, and kind of like I said earlier, like if I'd heard somebody just starting in dairying, milking in robots, I would have somehow explained it away. But it's the business partnership, it's the relationships, it's those conversations that just, DLL, that was 3, 4, 5 months of conversations. Southwest Dairies, Damien would have invested 12 months.
Yep.
In back and forth on second-hand plants, new conventional plants.
Yep.
Kept on baiting me with the robots and me dismissing it. And but that's we're growing and learning together. And it's interesting to look back at it and think of it like that, because at the time you don't necessarily.
Yeah, you don't think of it like that.
But that is what it is. They are business partnerships.
And it's about building those long-term business partnerships.
Yeah.
And the more information you can give Alex about your business, the more comfortable you are to go to Alex.
Yeah.
For
And
future financial options.
We've already seen that just in the short period of time, how comfortable you get talking with each other. And when you get comfortable, you do really say what it is or isn't, or how it's been, or what it, you don't have that guarded discussion, and kind of you'll say something and then Alex will be like, oh, well, we could have done this, or we can do this, or next time we'll do this. And it's just this ongoing thing for me, for the next farmer or whoever, that they're all, it's all growing together.
Well, that's exactly key, having just our simple conversations over table at your farm. It's enlightened me. I've learnt lessons from that, and I'm applying it to new clients and asking them questions as to, that I wouldn't have thought to ask before. And it's been really beneficial for both me and future clients, and hopefully for you in the future as well.
We both benefit in different ways, don't we? And that is a business partnership. We're not necessarily coming in it for the same reasons, and we don't necessarily walk out of it with the same things, but we're both moving forward in our own ways.
You're trying to align your objectives together
That's
to come to an outcome.
Yeah.
And it's about building, that's where the affiliation with Laley and DLL, because Laley tries to build long-term relationships with its clients, as DLL tries to build long-term relationships.
Well, exactly. I think we've been dealing with Laley for, I think it's over 20 years that we've been dealing with Laley. So it's a long-term relationship, and that just plays out because we've got those similar objectives, creating long-term relationships, and it works. And when you create it in, between the client, the vendor, the someone like Laley, and then the finance company, we get comfortable with each other and we look to solve, and nothing's a problem. It's just something to solve, and it's a very different mindset.
And that's what we were talking about earlier today with problem solving. It's about problem solving those issues. No issues too big or too small.
Exactly.
But you bring it to the surface and we're able to solve it.
Yeah, and it's absolutely about that. It's just about being transparent. Here, I've got this issue.
Yep.
How can you help?
Yep.
And honestly, that's the best kind of conversation I can have is, someone asking me for help, because I ask so many people for help. It's crazy. It's one of those things. If I don't understand something, I'm on the phone talking to someone.
Yep.
And, if I've got if there is, an issue on our structuring options or whatever, it's a phone call to the farmer and just honest. It's a blunt, honest answer.
Yep.
Because, they're busy. They don't need me to, make it all comfortable for them and everything. It's like, this is the issue. This is how we can solve it. What do you think? And being really open about it.
Yeah, and a lot of farmers know what their monthly milk jack's going to be. So to simplify it in monthly terms is of a great benefit to the business.
And that's we go back to the ticket price on robots. It you see that big number, and I've seen quite a few of them, and it can be a little bit of a shock, but when you break it down into those monthly expenses, you can start comparing it to your milk check. And
every expense, if you look at the 10-year outlay
Exactly.
on labour or 10-year fuel bill or 10-year whatever or 7-year or it.
Yeah.
They're
It
all
gets
confronting
big.
numbers. Even just the annual turnover can be a confronting number, and you go, well, where did all that go? That they're all big numbers, but we choose to look at some as the big number and others as
That
monthly
small number. Yeah.
installments or expenses, and that's a mindset one.
And I think Matt and I, we were talking about that earlier with what you focus on in your business. Some people focus on, I can't remember the conversation quite, but it was some people focus on having a nice car
Yeah,
and a average lifestyle, and other people focus on living on an oily rag.
it's not necessarily the dollar that you spend; it's what you spend it on is the value. And some people want a nice car just to drive to work and will work 6-7 days a week to have that nice car. Other people will live on nothing so they can go travel the world for 3 months at a time, and the dollars are probably the same amount, but it's just how you value them.
And it's what you put the value on.
Yeah.
Because we can make budgets talk a lot, and we can make budgets do whatever we want to do. But it's the value that you put on.
100%.
Did you go down the robot track for the lifestyle, or was it a purely
No,
business?
I'm a pretty intensive farmer, and I don't think I've gone robots necessarily to be less intensive. The flexibility, so yes, lifestyle is a factor to be able to still play sport, have a young family, and be present whilst running an intense farm. Just things that I'm not prepared to let go of, and being an intensive dairy farmer is one of them, and so that's the opportunity to do that. To say lifestyle, maybe that to me gives a perspective of, put your feet up type thing when you hear somebody say, it's about lifestyle, but for me it's not about putting my feet up, it's about maximising certain times at certain days, certain weeks, whether it's taking the kids to school or kindergarten, whether it's playing sport myself or whatever it may be. The robotic side of things
gives you options.
Gives you the option to choose how you spend your time and when and all of that. So that was certainly a huge part. The technology is cool as well. So the information to be able to just, I enjoy knowing each cow and standing in the yard with each cow, but to be able to have that stand in the yard with the cow and look at the computer and go, wow, 91 does this, and she does it every day. Fat, protein, cell count, and you have a whole new appreciation when you have all the data, and it's not just for financial decisions, but it is also for just the joy of the farming, and seeing kind of the influences that the weather has, the influences that my decisions have. There's.
You see it on a daily basis.
You see it on a daily basis. It's right there, and so there was a number of factors with the robots, and I wouldn't have said it was any one that drove me to it. It was the collection of a number of things that just that's where I think the dairy industry will be, and that's where I want to go. So the sooner rather than later is I decided to do it.
That's good. Is there anything either Matt or Alex you want to add to conclude?
Well, I think just that the conversations for farmers, between farmers and the likes of, whether it is the Big Four or DLL or whatever, because financing has come across as a dirty word to, I don't know if it's just farmers, but definitely within farmers, there is a reservation to talk about how you fund it. I listen to enough podcasts on like big tech, and big tech isn't frightened or shy of discussing how they fund it. Rounds of investment and why and how and all of that. Whereas as farmers, for some reason, we are, and that whether you are first or fifth generation, how you're funding it all and how it suits your business and where you want to go and all of that. How you fund it is massively important, and getting that information, that knowledge, what options are available, to me that's huge, because of just having lived it myself in the last 12, 18 months. You can get there in the end because of the will and the want and all of that, but then you do worry, are there people out there that put it in the too hard basket because you don't know? And for me, getting the word out, the conversation out, that you would be amazed what options are available for what you might think is not even possible, and just ask that question, what can I do and how? And
is there anything you would change with accessing the finance, knowing what you know now compared to what you did know?
Whether you put more in to the dairy rather than out of cash flow, like for me, whether we made more investments into the dairy rather than me probably doing some of what I did myself out of cash flow.
Yep.
Like I had already touched on it with choosing to lease to maintain as much cash as possible.
Yep.
I probably could have done more of that, and the conversations that Alex and I have had on kind of the structuring of the loan and the holiday period at the beginning, like there's probably things that you could do differently that would make that initial startup process a little more focused. I was going to say stressful, but it's not that. It's just more focused on just starting up on cows and not thinking about the money side of things.
Yep.
So that they would be things that I would do differently, and knowing that it's even an option is, and that's why I say getting it out there to know what options are available, and keep getting back to these conversations, that the more conversations you have with your business partners, whether it's Laley, Southwest Dairy or DLL, like the more they learn about us, and then Alex can now go around and talk to farmers and go, wow, you might have this problem, and they might not have even thought it was an option to even ask about. And that's, I don't think I could have done anything differently the way it went, but now knowing what I do know now, though, I would certainly do things differently. And if I could influence anybody else's path into robotic dairying or into dairying and full stop, by just putting it out there that you can ask questions. And Alex said earlier, I asked all the dumb questions, but they're the best ones to ask, because that's somehow got me to where I am now too, just asking.
And we have to start somewhere too, because if you don't know, you need to ask.
That's it. So so no, there'd be some slightly different things that I would do differently, not massively, just to enable that focus on the cows and the startup and all of that, as opposed to the money. I guess when you're starting from scratch, there's always going to be a huge element of focusing on money, because there's no amount that will ever be enough.
Yeah.
just because I guess even once you're established, there's still no amount that's enough, because there's a million and one things you could or would do. But certainly in the first 6 to 12 months, it seems like there's no figure I could say that would say, oh, that would have it sorted. But to any way of easing into starting up, not because of the challenge of itself, but just because that's where you just want to put all your focus. That's where you've gone into robots for a reason, and to be able to just solely focus on the cows and the robots would, to me, that would make it far more enjoyable. Yeah, and just appreciate the process for what it is. So
And Alex, yourself, is there anything you want to add to your final thoughts?
Firstly, I'd like to say thank you for inviting me along, and I've got to say a big thank you to Matt. He, you touched on it before, influencing people. I still remember seeing Matt's farm for the first time. It was so encouraging seeing you and just your enthusiasm for the robots and your cows and the whole farm. It was actually inspiring, and honestly, the lessons learnt from there, I've been applying as much as I can. What I would say to anyone listening is, if you're thinking about it, it's just a phone call. There's no obligation. There's no real issue. It's just a chat, just like we've had.
And just like we've had today, really.
Exactly. It's really just about, understanding your business, and then you leave it with me, and I'll find a solution for you.
Yeah.
I'll try and figure out the best way we can support you. Whether that initial discussion is half an hour, or whether it's 5 minutes, just going, hey, I'm interested. Can you send me something?
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it all, and really happy. I love getting into this. I love getting to know people. I love getting to know their farms and understanding what works for them, and really just don't worry about the barriers to entry. They're always going to be there. Just start chipping away at them, and a simple conversation can do that.
So the sooner you have the conversation, the better.
Absolutely. We can modify, there's that joke, no one goes with the first draw.
Yeah.
The first concept drawing. It's like that with finance. We will adapt to how you progress, because honestly, the projects we've seen, they change.
Yes.
There's always bits and pieces that you haven't thought of, and again, if you come to me and I'm able to enlighten you a little bit about the potential finance options, I consider that a win.
Yep.
So really, it's about how I can help you achieve your kind of dreams.
Yeah. It's about understanding what the business wants to achieve, and then structuring
it
a
appropriately.
process around that.
Exactly.
No, sounds good. Matt, I'd like to thank you for your time today.
No, thank you guys for the conversation. It's you're still learning now, and if anybody else can learn while we're
and it's a very, very unique situation that you find yourself in, being a new entrant into the dairy industry and leasing machinery to start your milking journey.
No, and it certainly feels like it's certainly worth sharing, just to prompt that thought and that conversation, because what I'm doing isn't for everybody.
No, it's true.
It isn't, but the possibility of it surely can open
doors for a lot
of and thought processes and conversations for others. And
no, thank you very much for your time, and
thank you.
I congratulate you on your new journey.
No, it's and it doesn't end, does it? And get back to those business partnerships, Lely, DLL, Southwest Dairies. The journey will all walk together. So
definitely. Thank you very much for your time. And Alex, thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure talking to you and chatting to you about options that I didn't know were available. And hopefully we can work out some solutions in the future for our farmers.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me. Thanks for having us in your house,
Matt.
And
good to see you again,
it's
Alex.
Wonderful. And absolutely. Just looking forward to creating some solutions for clients.
That sounds really good. Thanks for listening.